of authorship 2 years ago and not wanting to give up what we had built and were building. And at this point in time, I'm saying, do we want to continue in a type of business where we have high risk, high exposure to risk? Or do we want to repackage what we do? Our concept was to build our own clinics and have a network of them, and then have enough of a base to say, we franchise this idea.
What did I say to you when you first told me that? I don't remember now. I remember you're the veterinary lady, but I don't remember what I said. What did I say when you told me your concept was to franchise them? What did I tell you?
The main thing that stuck with me, Dan, was what I got out of when you're working in a business where you're selling your hours.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a tough way to make a lot of money.
Oh, it's not a tough, it's impossible.
Right.
It's worse than tough. It's impossible. Yeah. And did your son come down and hear me in San Diego?
No, I heard you in San Diego. My son went to another seminar that gave him a lot of information on licensing products and that type of thing.
Okay. Okay, number one, you should not take 2 years to figure out that you can let go of pride of authorship. If you can't figure that out in about 2 microseconds, something's wrong. I mean, like this young lady who's 26 who figured out that she's got a shit can of business. I mean, yeah, 2 months out, with the greatest respect. And again, when I say these things, I'm not trying to embarrass anybody. I'm not trying to hurt or offend any feminists we have in the room. But that takes big nuts. That takes big nuts. I mean, and there's no doubt in my military civilian mind this young lady's going to be successful. None. Zero. Excuse me. And because if you can make a decision that quickly, with that little experience, and catch the point, the whole point of what I'm about, if you realize the whole essence of what quantum theory is about, this young lady, we got to swap bad stories, don't forget, remind me. I mean, this young lady has, that's great. It makes this whole 3 days worthwhile to me. Because that's what it's about. Remember, it's a complete reversal going up the other face of the Matterhorn. And Rick Scott will sell out of health care just before, when everybody thinks he's going to own the entire health care industry, he'll sell it to some doofus like Cigna or somebody that's afraid that they're going to lose market share, which they already have. Because nothing's forever. I wrote him a letter about a year ago. I said, remember 3 things. Glory is fleeting. Nothing's forever. No up cycle or no down cycle. Number 1. Number 2, he's been married to his high school sweetheart all these years. He still drives a 1987 Buick. He didn't buy it with a radio because he wouldn't pay extra. True story. And I said, get a new car, Rick. When you're worth $500 million, you can afford a new car. So he probably went up to an Oldsmobile, probably bought one from Browning. An Oldsmobile, buy a new car. Just one moment, man. And I said, number 3, spend time with your kids, because I didn't, but I think you should. And so, but that's what it's about. Now, as far as your quandary with the veterinary medicine and the competition, if I remember correctly, you said that there was what I call systematized veterinary medicine coming in then, 2 years ago. And now,
I just told you that in San Diego.
Okay. In San Diego, you told me that. Okay. Yeah. It's tough to lock heads with an organization that's got that built-in market. It's absolutely tough. And that's not any place when you're going into somebody that can control the market, because they control both ends of the market. And that's not a good business to get rich in. And unless you've got big capital, and if you've got a lot of capital, I can tell you other businesses get richer a lot quicker than going in and fighting that. But I think you're right, and one of the things that I would disagree with is you don't have to wait till a cash flow business to come in the door before you sell the cash flow business you've got. I don't agree with that, because you're staying in a business that is a dead end or almost a dead end business now, And if you kiss a lot of frogs and you expose yourself not to so much a lot of seminars, but you expose yourself to a lot of deals, because a lot of the ideas behind the seminars, other than this one, is networking, where you pass out cards and you got bulletin boards. We don't do any of that, you know, because I don't care if anybody here does business with anybody else. That's not why we're here. You know, I'm not, in theory, I'm not a marketing guy, but I know a lot about marketing. But we're here to hopefully, in my mind, I will have given everything you need to change your whole way of thinking, your whole mindset about how you look at business. There's no doubt in that. But whether you do it or not, you know, that's another question. And I can't, you know, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, and you know, and I can't do that. That's not my job. With a few of you, hopefully I work with a few of you. But if that doesn't work out either, it doesn't, you know, won't change my lifestyle any, I can assure you. But I will have given you the information. That's where I, you know, feel that my job ends for most of you. So I would sell the business. I wouldn't worry about another cash flow business. You'll find one. It'll give you more time to find that cash flow business if you're not dealing in the business that you already are inclined to get rid of anyway. So
we're going to sell it to one of the associates.
Yeah.
We're going to tell him next Friday.
Absolutely. Okay, sir.
My name is Chris Travis. I'm from Vancouver, Canada, by way of Trinidad, the Caribbean. And I've been living down here in California on and off for about 10 years. You're talking about doofus Canadians. I realized that. That's why I came down here and went to college and tried to learn a little bit about making money, because it seemed like it was pretty hard to do up in Canada.
A lot of doofuses up there.
A lot of doofuses, yeah. My background is telemarketing, specifically calling total strangers up and having them send me thousands of dollars. I like doing it. I've been successful at it. I was involved in wireless cable TV until that whole market went sideways on me. I'm currently looking at forming my own independent ISO and jumping into the telephone debit card market, which is big over in Europe and big in Japan. The big companies, AT&T, have been trying to get it accepted, but they've been having some problems because they're still thinking the old way. I'm hoping with some of my techniques I learned here that I can get some kind of control over it, or find out if it's even worth my while messing with it. And so right now I'm in transition from quitting what I'm doing, which is I'm working for a small brokerage firm here in Torrance, to having my own investors and just doing my own thing. And the reason why I'm here is because I'm an ex-seminar junkie, so to speak, because I was not going to go to this seminar. Because I've been to Jay Abraham's and I've been to other seminars too. I was impressed with Ted Nicholas, and he made a recommendation that this was, I think, the best seminar he'd been to, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Ted Nicholas, who's, in my judgment, arguably the best copywriter in the country, he said he learned 103 ways to increase his net worth geometrically from me. 103.
That was the only reason I came, because I was through with seminars. I spent thousands of dollars. I have a library that's the size of a storage unit of you name it. And I've read every single book there is. 99% of the books that are out there are garbage by people who've never been there. And that's why I'm here.
I like this kid right away. I knew I liked this kid. By the way, you're sitting behind a guy that knows about debit marketing right there. Debit card.
Okay. So that's the only reason I showed up, because I was pretty much through with seminars. You know, I've heard it all. I'm qualified to give them, quite frankly. But the old doofus way.
The old doofus way. Okay. Number one, I told you, just coincidentally, you're sitting behind a guy that knows a lot about what you're interested in. Number two, Ted, who I have a lot of respect for, he's one of the ones that I would spend money, and I have gone to his seminars. Ted is a very knowledgeable guy, and he's got money. He's made money. He built a business. He built a publishing business and sold it to some doofus big company for about 5 times more than it was worth. So he's one of the few. I said there's a few. There's not many. There's a few. And he's one of them. And I take and he's been to my seminar at the Castle, and he's heard me speak here in the United States. And, of course, he doesn't live too far from Scotland. He lives in Switzerland most of the time, and Florida the rest of the time. And so you will come away with the ideas that and the foundation that you need. And I agree. I think telecommunications and that, you know, any of the ancillary businesses there are going to be big. They're going to be just huge in the rest of this decade and into the next century, because that's the way a lot of things are going. I mean, you're going to be able to buy and sell and both in this country and Asia and all around the world. And so I think that's a big business. That's one of the reasons that I've looked at it very closely. We're going to take a break? Okay.
Like take 15 minutes?
Well, no, why 15?
We need 15.
Huh?
Yeah, we have a little technical difficulty.
Okay, 15. Who did we leave off with?
Right here.
Yes, sir. Your name, where you're from, what you do.
Okay, my name is, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Mark Bowen. I'm from the San Fernando Valley, not far from where you are, where you were from. My business is basically involving network marketing. It's a little bit different than most of your businesses here. And what it is we have 12 products. And when you become a distributor in my company, you're allowed to take any one of those products and make a business out of it. And what I've done is I've been able to look at some of the products and make up my mind as to what I wanted to do with it. If it fit my profile of what I needed to do, what I could do, I went out and I started a business in it. So I basically have 2 businesses running off of the 12 products this company has allowed me to get my hands on. The thing about it that's really interesting is that we are on a new wave of environmental technology. Waterless and water-saving technology is what we're about. The company's called Envirotech International. They're out of Las Vegas. My company is called Ecotech International, and that's where I do my product. I sell my products, and I buy from them. So they have exclusive formulations that I can buy as a distributor, and I turn around and I sell these to people who I feel would be interested in my product. I've spawned a beauty supply business because some of our products are skin care line, hair care, what have you. And it's working out very well. I have a goal of making a certain amount per month, which in a year I don't see any problem doing, which is basically about $20,000 a month, which is not much in the scope of what some people are looking at here, but it'll springboard me to go into the next step, which will be bigger business. I really don't have goals beyond that, because I can say that $20,000 a month may not sound like much to some people here, but for me that's a fairly good amount of money, and I know I can achieve that. So that's my goal. And I did want to say one thing that I like about the business I'm in. J. Paul Getty once said that he would rather have 1% of 100 people's efforts than 100% of his own, which is what network marketing offers me. I get paid basically on the efforts of others. I get a percentage off of every bottle of the products that someone in my so-called downline sells or buys from the company of my product. The company sends me a check for that amount. Well, I can say that it is growing, and it's growing very rapidly. And really, we have a saying in our business, the stickers will get rich. If you have a good company, the stickers, the people that stay with it.
Oh, stick it out.
The people that stay with it and don't come in and not work the business will get rich. And with our company, we feel we have the best company out there. They pay the highest compensation available in the market today. They're getting accolades all over the United States and all over the world. It's basically an international business. There's nowhere that you cannot do my business. So I'm very excited. I could go to Hawaii and do my business. I can go to Thailand and do my business. And that's one of the things I like. It offers flexibility beyond anything else I've done. I've had other businesses which, unfortunately did not work out.
but this one is, and I'm very excited. And really what I wanted to do is I wanted to ask you, Mr. Pena, what do you feel about network marketing?
Okay. Three things. What is that? A gun on your? What is that on your hip?
Well, that's one of my products. It's called, you guys will be hearing about it sooner or later. It's called Dry Wash and Guard. And what this does is this washes, polishes, and protects, puts a protective sealant on a vehicle without a single drop of water. And a bottle this size will last you approximately 1 year on one vehicle.
1 year. Okay.
And I can show it to anyone who's interested.
Okay.
In seeing
Well, I assume that's why you're wearing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I keep my business with me at all
Okay.
times.
By the way, Ed, you never look better.
Okay.
Okay. Several comments. Number one, J. Paul Getty, what he said about he'd rather have the 1% of 100 people. I mean, remember what I said. You don't get paid for what you do, but you get paid for what you get other people to do. So in that regard, I like network marketing. I don't like most of the things that are sold through network marketing, but I like the concept. The concept is a smart concept. The concept is highly intelligent. I don't know who the hell invented it or started it, but I mean, it's the products. Unfortunately, it's wrought with a lot of bad products. I'm not saying this is one. This sounds like a good one. But whenever you can get paid for other people doing your work, I like that. And in a different way, that's what Rick Scott does by empowering all his hundreds of regional managers, $1 million opportunities to make decisions without having to go to the board of directors. So I like that. I like network marketing. Sure.
The thing about this business is, yes, you'll make a lot of money, and that for some people is their motivation. What motivates me about this business and my products and everything, they're fantastic. These, there are a lot of really good products out there. Unfortunately, they're maybe not marketed correctly, and that's why they go to network marketing. But in my case, I really get a thrill out of being able to help others and empowering them by putting them into business for a nominal fee, a minimal fee of $39. One could join my company as an independent distributor, go out and do exactly what I did. Build a business for a very small fee. All you need is product and a little bit of training, and you can have a business no matter what background you're from, race, creed, color, what have you. And you don't have to be wealthy. You don't have to make a large investment. And these are the key things that I like about my business.
Second thing I would comment on is don't apologize for how much money you think you're going to make. Don't ever say, if you're going to be on the quantum leap road to success, don't say it may not be a lot of money to you, but it's a lot of money to me, because you don't care what these other people think, because you don't care what the morons think, remember? You don't care what the morons say, and there's a few morons here. I hope there's not too many, but just the odds would say there got to be some morons in here, based on my experience. So don't apologize. Third, I would say that instead of saying that $20,000 a month, you ought to say $200,000 a month, $500,000, whatever. Pick a number that seems a number that you want. And because I guarantee you won't do more than $20,000 a month if you say $20,000 a month. The odds are you're going to do a lot less than $20,000 a month. And but I think network marketing is good. I think it's a good way to make money. And as long as you operate it ethically, which I'm sure you do, I have no problem with it. I think it's got a great future. Next, the gentleman behind you.
Good afternoon. My name is Carlos Godinez, and I'm first time to the seminar. I'm very excited to be here. I thought I'd come here to the seminar and get refocused on some of my objectives and goals, maybe get some new juice in my body so I could go out there and be successful.
You came to the right place if you want cement pumped up your ass. There's no doubt about that. You come to the right place.
And maybe make some changes in my existing life so that way I could continue to focus and be successful and feel good and confident. Although I do now, but I think I want a little bit more in life. And I have a business with my partner. She's going to be here this afternoon. I came here in lieu of her, but I'm more excited to be here than she would. I feel like calling her and come on over, hurry up what you're doing, because this is exciting. I'm in the dry cleaning industry. I started with no money, and all I did was a little gutsy. I got fired from my job. I was a commercial lender, made a raw deal, but it was the best thing that ever happened. It made me buy a house. I was unemployed for 4 years, paid off $35,000 worth of debt, and did consulting work, and learned a lot, and learning a lot more. So I want to do a lot more with this existing business or a new one that I have in mind.
Now, I don't know if when I was a kid, when I was 13, 14, I worked for a sweatshop, dry cleaning place. A guy named Al, I can't think of his name now. He was the largest dry cleaning operator in Los Angeles city limits. Is that who it was? I don't remember the last name. But I worked for him. You couldn't work when you were 13 or 14 in the state of California. But I worked and I got paid, I think I got paid $1 an hour. And then during the summer, I used to work 60 hours a week when I was 12 years old on his big estate. He paid me $1.10 an hour. And I got 10 minutes break for lunch and no breaks during the day. And I used to make, at that time, I used to make about $60 to $70 a week cash when you're 12 years old. In 1957, that was a lot of money. And but the economics about the dry cleaning business, because he used to show me. Of course, he wasn't paying anybody any money, and I don't know if I guess you can't do that anymore. But I mean, he showed me the economics, Dan. You get 59 cents for the shirt and the $2 for this, and our cost is about a minus 2 cents. And then I don't pay these people anyway because you throw them out because they're illegal aliens. You throw their ass out, and if you can manage them a little, because I spoke a little Spanish, and so you manage, you can help me. You know, I'll give you a dime extra an hour. That's how come I got $1.10, because I was a manager at 12 years old, 13 years old. So now, if the economics are the same in the dry cleaning business, I like it. I don't like the way I was introduced to the dry cleaning business, but the dry cleaning business, you know, that was, in fact, my first business exposure was in the dry cleaning. Unfortunately, it was a sweatshop, but as I said, when you got fired earlier, it forced you to make a decision to do something, okay?
And it was the right decision.
And absolutely. He went out and bought a house. And one of the things I'm going to talk to you about tomorrow is I spend at least 110% of my income each year, minimum. My wife has increased that in recent years to 200 to 300% of my income, and I make a lot of income in a year. But because it's not what I know that I'm not going to get rich off my income. I'm going to get rich off my equity in transactions. But I mean, and so the fact that you went out and bought a house, even though you got fired, and this scenario that you went through is very much analogous to how I got started. And so I'm sure that you're going to come away with ideas over the next 2 days that are going to help you build your business, and I'm excited for you.
Thank you,
Very
Dan.
good.
My name is Kathleen Shaw, and I'm from right here, Redondo Beach, and I'm in that envious spot of having a new business. I've been opened up a private investigation business about a year ago, and so I was coming just to listen to see what ideas I'd have in growing this business. Now, I'm not quite sure how you grow a service industry business like this and fit it into your ideas of equity. So that's where I'm trying to draw the parallel.
Okay, well, I'll give you a quick parallel right now. You get a big, which I don't know if they call a contingent client in the PI business, but you get a big contingent client that, you know, and you will run into these people that are in dire need, have no cash, you know, and they need work done. Maybe everybody that comes to you is like that. And you say, okay, I'll do it for 5 or 10 or 20% of your business, or 2% or whatever. And so that's one way to turn that into an equity position, because you're taking equity for what you do. Another way of doing it is to seek out a huge client and offer to do work, assuming, which I'm sure is the case, that you know that you can compete competitively and do the work as good, if not better, than a big company, and say that I'll do this work for you for the next 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, a year, for nothing. At the end of that time, contingent on my success, I'll get a piece of this, I'll get something, and contrary to, you know, what you've been told, people will do that. People will allow you to get into equity. And because service businesses, the theories and the precepts that I use are the same theories and precepts I used on Wall Street. and there's no bigger service business than Wall Street. I mean, and I made it happen successfully on Wall Street. And whereas I took pieces of business, in fact, one of the reasons I left Wall Street, and Jerry Orman might remember this, Bear Stearns didn't want to do an equity or do a corporate finance deal that I thought was a good deal in Indonesia. And I thought it was a good deal. It was with Pat. And they didn't want it. And I said, well, can I do it? And he says, just don't embarrass me. Well, I still get income from Indonesia. That was the first oil deal I ever did in the Salawati field. And I still get that income. And that was in 1976 or 7 or something. Yeah, but Bear Stearns didn't want to do it. And I got permission from Bear Stearns. And then after it became successful, Bear Stearns wanted me to sign it over to him. And I reminded, of course, they lost all the paperwork. They don't remember all the things that we signed. And that's ultimately one of the reasons I left Bear Stearns. But so you can turn service into equity. And I'm assuming everybody's good at what they do. I know that's a big assumption, and assumptions are mother of all screw-ups, but I'm assuming if you're good, you can turn it into equity. Give it to one of the Doofus brothers. My Doofus brothers.
What a great introduction.
Yeah.
My name is Jim Mosby, and I'm from St. Louis. I met Dan through a different seminar. I was out in a seminar in Palm Springs or Palm Desert, or one of the palms out there, and it's one of the people he mentioned, the Newman seminar. And it was a great seminar, but I found that I was learning a lot more from just a few drinks with Dan afterwards than I was at the seminar.
A lot of drinks with Dan.
A lot of drinks with Dan afterwards. And a lot of things that I always kind of said under my breath because I knew people would disagree with me. I didn't find that disagreement, so I thought, well, there's something here. And I quickly figured out after the seminar there was 2 goals I had when I left there. One was to be one of his Doofus brothers, and the other was to see firsthand how it all happens with Dan. So we're in the process now of the very, very early stages of starting a business, and it's not a challenge because it's a problem. The industry that we've selected, the competition is Fortune 100 companies, and they're not going to go quietly, and we know that. But I think that's what makes it very exciting. The goals that I have, I've always wanted to take a company public. I want to do it as soon as we can get financials audited that are worthy of taking a company public. I see it in 3 to 5 years. And what I'd like to do is a lot of what people in here have already accomplished and are wanting to accomplish, and that's take the company public and do it again and do it again. And what I like about the situation I'm in today is I worked for a large corporation, Citicorp, where you got to make one decision in your whole lifetime, and even if you did make it, they didn't take you up on it. What I like about with Dan is he's taught me it's okay to make decisions, it's okay to be wrong, and you just keep making them. You just keep going. And
have you been wrong lately? You haven't told me about?
Well, yeah, I've been wrong. I mean, we've been wrong.
Okay.
And everything's not great. So there are a lot of not challenges, they're problems. I agree. But I'm very excited about it. I'm glad to be in an atmosphere where people think a lot alike or would like to take that next step. And I also do want to add one point. I don't believe in the seminar circuit. This is my last seminar because I think there's seminars are like uncles. Everyone's got one if you want to go to it. The people that can do it and have proved it and they want to get up and explain it to you, those are the people that I feel you should, at least for me, might not be for everybody. So, and I mean, I'm just from hearing people here, I'm easily the poorest person in this room, and Dan's easily the richest. So that's the reason, that
you may not be the poorest. You haven't read everybody's forms like I have. I mean, but by the way, and I should have given them a different kind of introduction. Both the Mosby's brothers, I call them my Doofus brothers, are running a company for me that I have a patent, and we'll talk about that tomorrow or Saturday, and I've turned over the running of the company to them. And common sense, conventional wisdom would say that you got to be goddamn crazy, Dan, to turn it over to are you 28? 29 and 28-year-old kids that never run a business before, right? You work for Citicorp and you...
Crown Packaging.
Yeah, but before that...
Monsanto.
Monsanto. Their experience is, bupkis. But I had confidence, and I'm going to let you talk. Don't worry. You know, even though your wife didn't come with you. Your wife didn't come with you, right?
No, she didn't.
Okay, okay. His better half didn't come with him, but I had confidence, and Jim basically sold me on his younger brother. I had confidence in John even before I met him. It was a little shaken after I met him, but we still went forward with it. And but I've turned this business over now. The company that we're competing with is DuPont. They have 99.99% of the market, roughly speaking, and maybe more. And they have invested hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars into this product and have controlled this product since the early 60s. And we have a product that we feel, we know, can compete effectively and kick their ass, basically. And I owned this once before. I bought it when I was the chairman of a public company, and as part of my settlement when I left Great Western, in addition to a lot of money, they gave me this company. That's assets. There was nothing running because they had put it on the back burner because my former colleagues didn't understand it, I don't think. And so I've got it again, and I feel very, I liked it when I bought it the first time. I liked it when I have it now, and I've turned over the running of it to Jim and his brother John. John, why don't you get up now?
Okay.
Sure.
Is there a Brian Wright in this room? No Brian Wright? Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, my name's John Mosby. I'm not going to reiterate everything that my brother said, but a couple points that are important. Number one, I don't think either of us know how to work in a business, run a business, or be in a business environment different than the way Dan's talking. To say you're going to take your company public, that just happens. To say you're going to make hundreds of millions of dollars, that's what happens if you follow guidelines. The key point is one day when my brother got home from the Jim Newman seminar, he called me and said, I'm going to call this guy. I mean, he was like this. I got a guy to call, and I just get on the other line and listen. I said, pick up the phone, call the guy. Pick it up, let's go. When we hung up, I said, if you ever do that to me again, I'll kill you. The reason I'm here is because my brother brought me, as he said. I do work for a company now in sales where I work as a straight commission sales rep. I get 33% of the profit of whatever I sell. The two owners of the company, $55 million in sales. They probably bring home $19 to $20 million. Profit afterwards, pay everybody. They make $2.5, $3 million a year each. It is $2.5 to $3 million more than they ever expected to make, and they're not going to touch anything. They're like the horse with the reins on, with the blinders. Don't touch anything, don't do anything. If this thing fell apart tomorrow, I'd be fine. I can't stand even being in there anymore. It's ridiculous. It's a farce that we have 80 salespeople doing that for them. But as I was saying earlier, we know of businesses run this way. That's just how it goes. You take the company public, you do another one, you do another one, you do another one. You keep your eyes out for new ideas. Dan said if you start getting in that frame of mind, ideas will jump out at you. One already has for us. So we appreciate the opportunity, but it's something that we were going to do, we're going to do, and with Dan, and I'd like to say that we're working with him and not for him, because that was another goal that we're going to do. We're not going to work for Dan, we're going to work with Dan. So with that in mind, I have only been to one other seminar, and that was Tony Robbins, and he never said you can really make a mistake and make mistakes and do all this stuff, because you shouldn't be making mistakes if you're as good as you think you are. So,
that's bullshit.
Yeah. With that in mind, I'm
when
glad
we're not
you're
on the
allowing
camera,
mistakes.
I'll tell you about all the mistakes Tony's made. And I mean, but my wife has lost in mink coats at airports more net worth than he's got.
Well,
that kind of puts it in a nutshell.
And last but not least, when Dan's mentioning my wife, we just got married 2 months ago.
And you're still married?
Yeah. He asks me that every month as well. And we had prefaced, well, what happened was we had been out, my brother and I had been out to visit Dan about 3 times, been out to his castle once, and Dan called us and said, I want you guys to come back out, I want you to bring your wives. For nothing other than to meet my wife, to understand who I am, and understand the commitment that you're all going to put in this. And we had basically told our wives, whatever he says, don't say anything back. So the only words that were uttered at the time...
And your wife didn't follow that instruction?
No, she uttered one word, and that was at dinner, Dan raised a glass and he said, you know, this is to making a hell of a lot of money. and she blurts out, "Amen."
Yeah.
So she's on the same wavelength as well, or the same page as we're supposed to be.
They were basking. Their wives were basking out by the pool, and I have a roughly speaking, a 210-degree view of the Pacific Ocean with Catalina out in my front. Malibu at one end and Newport Beach, and it's a nice place. And they were basking in the sun, and I looked out. We were working inside. I went out on the patio and said, "Hey, girls, have you been discovered yet?" Like starlets. "No, is somebody going to come? I mean, we're waiting." But an important thing that I want to point out about John, we had a board meeting at the castle on August the 17th, I think it was, and I told Jim and John, I want you to be there to make a presentation to the board. And this is my board for my holding company. And I didn't know that John was getting married in 5 days or 8 days or whatever it was. I didn't really care. It didn't make a damn to me. And then he said, "Well, how long am I going to be there?" I said, 2-3 days, But the important thing is he came, and just before his wedding, and I didn't ask him what his father, mother, in-laws, wife to be. I couldn't care less. But I can assure you, if he hadn't been at that meeting, his ass wouldn't be sitting here today, and we wouldn't have gone forward with the project with him. Because I wouldn't care. Now, fortunately, he didn't have to postpone the wedding. It just happened. I didn't set the meeting up on purpose to do that. But he passed a big doofus test. He did the right thing. Now, it's important, and that's why I have confidence in these two young men. And I've given them, an opportunity to make a ton of money and be equity principals in the organization. And they're going to go out and meet one of our partners tonight. Don't let him. Well, you won't let him doofus you. This guy is this guy is everything that is sneaky about business. Well, he's a 10% partner in the deal. He weaseled his way into this years ago. And this guy is slick. Let's see. Harvard, Cambridge. He doesn't talk about Pierce Junior College that he went to in the Valley. That's where he started. He lived around the corner from me, and I didn't know him. He was about 4 years younger than I was. And he, former chief of staff of Governor Brown, Jerry. And I mean, this guy is slicker than baby shit. I mean, he's smooth. So, but I'm sending the two kids because this guy, this guy's good. He's extracted a lot of money and flesh off people over the years. But we're sending the two kids to have dinner with him. And don't buy his dinner, remember. Yeah, don't buy his dinner. So, but these guys have the right attitude, and I feel comfortable. I'm the largest controlling shareholder, but I mean, I feel comfortable. And with this particular project, all the people that had been thrown out of the project that I felt ought to be back in, number one, the inventor, the people that have the UK license patent threw his ass out. See, now, to me, having the inventor on your team is probably smart. So I brought his ass back in, And Dr. Eric White's his name, and he's a very bright guy. And he's not used to dealing with cutthroat American businessmen, or these happen to be Brits that threw him out. And so we're putting the team back together to go heads up with DuPont probably. And so it's going to be interesting over the next several years. But we're talking about some big dollars. Because one of the things we're going to talk about investment opportunities, individuals like myself, I'm not interested unless I can make 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,000% on my money. I'm not interested in 15% compounded annually. I mean, I wouldn't roll over in bed for that. I mean, it just has no interest, and people like myself aren't interested in that. I would rather take my money and send my oldest son, who's not old enough to gamble, to put it down on 00 in Vegas. High-performance people aren't interested in those kinds of rates of return. When Ross Perot gave Jobs $20 million to help start his company called Next, he was one of the initial investors. Ross was looking to make $1 billion on his $20 million. So, I mean, and in my judgment, if the difference between interest rates, everybody bitches about interest rates, if the difference between 6 and 8% interest rates kills your deal, you ought to blow your brains out. You're looking at the wrong kinds of deals. I have a big arsenal at my house. I'll set you up. Some of my stars just walked in. Verdier's from Baltimore or someplace like that. But we went to the University of Maryland together, we found out. Yeah, well, they're going to get a chance to talk. Put up a seat. These were control freaks. These are former control freaks. Now they're richer former control freaks. But see, I feel comfortable with the young guys. There's not many guys my age that have been as successful. Well, virtually probably hardly anybody in this room would do what I've already done. And I've done 2 or 3 projects like that because I know 3 things. Number one, I can mold these guys and give them the right tools. They don't have as much crappy preconditioned thinking. Number one. Number two, they've got good educations, even though they were raised there and educated in the Catholic system. I'm a Catholic myself, but notwithstanding that, I mean, and they look like Mr. Clean. See, they got the Bruce Whipple look. See, now you see what he looks like. They got the IBM look. And it's easier to take a man or woman's money if you look like an IBM salesman. It's a lot easier. I mean, he looks sincere. I know him. I know better. But I mean, that's why I told him you got to focus in on the Fortune 50. I mean, because he relates. They all look. Don't you all look alike when you sit in the meetings? I mean, they all look alike. And I mean, and the, if you're gonna go to Egypt, I dress like Egyptians. I mean, it's that simple. And so but that's the format that I use, and have been pretty successful at it. And I find these things to run, and I let young men like the Moses brothers run with them. Next.
I'm Vince Pena, and I'm Dan's kid brother. And I came to the first seminar almost 2 years ago.
May of '93.
Yeah, and this is the first time I've been back since. And what I want to know is, have you been mentioning my name and referring to me ever since? Because if so...
Yes.
Yeah, well, you owe me a little something.
Yeah,
okay.
I do.
And a few other people here, too.
Vince was, or I don't know if he still is, but when he was promoted, he was the youngest fire captain in the state of California. He's with the Los Angeles County Fire Department. And he was their, or probably still is, their child prodigy, the young guy that is going to lead him into the next century. And I'm old enough almost to be his father, but my dad had, we ain't going to talk about that. He had a second life after I left home. But, I do mention you probably have some royalties, do you? But, we'll talk about that later.
Okay, later.
Okay.
Anyway, what Dan says is correct. At one time I was the youngest fire captain on the job, and in the state, and I've been a captain now for 5 years, and ever since then Dan has been hounding me and trying to pound me and taking the next step up, and I'm very comfortable where I am and wanted to get that balance and experience, which is important in my field. But now I feel like I have the experience, especially through proven ability, and I'm going to go for that next step up and start bumping through the ranks. And even though my area of expertise is different than what most people here are shooting for, everything he says I use, and I've been using for 20 years. Everything he says, it's not something that's made up to put on an overhead. I mean, I've heard all these things. I've heard them in the back room. I've heard them on the golf course. I've heard them, when we've both been down on the ground. I mean, he lives by this, and it's his proven ability is why, I use him for advice, and he motivates me, and will do so throughout. And so anyway, 2 things I want to get out of here is, one, I'm here because I enjoy his motivation and the guidance that I get through him. 2, it will help me bump up through the ranks, and which it did get me to where I have been. And 3, I've always been caught up in the passion with the fire service with my job, and now through that and through the experience, I've found an area which is just ripe for the pickings to start a business, which the time schedule of the firemen, you're able to do things off duty, And it's just a business it's an area that is in promotional workshops and training courses, which has only started the last 5 to 6 years, and it's something that is just ripe for the picking. There's only one person that does it worth a darn, and he's an LA City battalion chief. And I see flyers coming through the fire station all the time. I see guys of mine, not of mine, but guys on our department that are paying thousands of dollars for these courses. And it's just it's killing me to see this. That it's something that one, I don't think he's doing justice to the profession, and two, I think he could be had. And I've seen that because one, where I got myself without any help in a fast way, and two, the men that I've had for the last few years, I constantly promote them and get them up through the ranks without paying thousands of dollars and without any fancy program. So I think that's something that can be marketed, and that's where my passion is, and I know I'm good at it through proven ability, and that's just something that I think, in fact, I know that there's a market out there, and where it can end up, I don't know, and I don't care, because it's just so new, and there's just so much there to be had. That's what I'm going to go for.
Okay, thank you, Vince. And coincidentally, the business that the Mosbys are running is a fire-resistant a chemical process where you change the molecules in fabric to make it fire-resistant, more fire-resistant than DuPont's Nomex and Kevlar products. And coincidentally, one of the reasons I have a great deal of comfort in the area is because my kid brother is in that business and has been instrumental in guiding us. And whereas he felt he needed more experience, he's in a life-death business. Except for the doctor. Where's the doctor? Unless you're a doctor, I mean, nobody in here is going to make a decision that actually in the cosmos of time is more than a fart in the wind. We aren't in the life-death business. Nobody has ever made a decision in the big picture scheme of things amounts to spit. Doctors, not all doctors, and I don't know what kind of doctor you are, but I mean some doctors actually make life-death decisions. Policemen, firemen make life-death decisions. You better be qualified. For us, doesn't mean a damn whether we're right or wrong. Yet we labor, we kill ourselves, we pound the hell out of ourselves on some of these decisions. We Lotus 1, 2, 3 to death. Ladies and gentlemen, nothing that you've ever done in your career, nor probably nothing that you will ever do henceforth in the cosmos of time means spit. So why do we beat ourselves up? Why do we spend such an inordinate amount of time deciding on what to do? Tomorrow and the next day we're going to go into that ad nauseum, because we're going to go around and we're going to talk to people about decisions that we've made. And nobody's made more wrong decisions in this room than me. Okay. Verdiers we're going to save to last. Move the mic up.
My name is David Marshall. I'm from North Carolina. No background. I'm 30 years old. I just sold a company of mine. And I'm in the process of the people that I sold it to, they want me. The guy that I sold it to that's running the company, he's spending most of his time buying other companies and growing the company. He wants me to help him work with taking that company public. That is one of the goals that I'm working on right now. Another goal that I'm working on is in the information business to do an online service, something along the lines of Prodigy or America Online in that business. So I really came to this seminar to find out if I wanted to go to your seminar in Scotland.
Well, yeah, I already could tell you the answer is yes.
Yeah, well,
no
I
question.
figured that out already this morning.
You know, I can say this is an experience, but Scotland is a quantum leap above this experience, because you're being, when my butler comes and gives you, as the Verdiers or some of the other Burl, some of the other people that have been to the castle, it's a different thing. And I don't mean to interrupt, but see, he sold his business. You're only 30, right? Okay.
I'll be 30 in March.
So you're 29. Okay, he's getting young. He'll be 26 before the conversation's over. That's great. You know, I won't ask the question, how many sold a business when they were 29? How many had a business when they were 29? Okay, good. But, I mean, that is the kind of thing that we're going to develop over the next two-plus days.
Well, and that's really where I'm coming from. I don't have a Harvard education or any of that.
Good, you got a chance.
I got started scrapping when I was a kid, and I've had businesses since I was a kid, and I've started some and I've bought some, and I've mostly been playing in the lower tier, and so I'm at that point in my life where I want to take that, to use your terminology, quantum leap into, you know, the big time and be a real player. And so that's what I'm working on.
You want to hunt with the big dogs.
I want to be in the tall
That's
grass
exactly
with the big dogs.
right. Now he's from a part of the country that understands hunting with the big dogs.
That's right. So
now,
I'm trying to get off the porch.
That's right. How many have you? Has any? You know? Well, I won't ask the question. I'll give you the answer. If you read everybody's literature now, how many times do you see quantum leap program, quantum leap theory from all the gurus now? It's all over. Now, you know, I should be happy that everybody's, you know, stealing my stuff. But they may be stealing the title, but that's it. Because there's nobody out there that I'm aware of that can teach the methodology. But there's a lot of quantum leaps guys now, but I mean, there's not that much quantum leap methodology. But you will, I mean, it's great that you've sold a business and you've been in businesses, and some of the business you've lost money, right?
I've had some big dogs.
Yeah, some big dogs. And that's just the point. I mean, he's been out there amongst them. And you want to hunt with the big dogs, that's what it takes. You've got to be out there among them. You've got to be taking, you know, not necessarily risking your net worth like I've done 4 or 5 times in my career, but I mean, you've got to be out there amongst them.
So this is the first I've been exposed to you, and I'm very impressed with what I've heard so far.
Thank you.
But I would be other gurus, and I didn't care much for them.
I'd be surprised if you weren't impressed. You know, quite frankly, I'd be surprised. Yes, sir.
My name is Mike Crabb. I was down at the San Diego conference, like a few of us were down there. And actually, I think I got more excited about Dan's seminar because I had gotten some material on it, but I think the marketing piece that was sent out intrigued me more than all of the other stuff that I got. So I kind of took a risk. And
Ed's looking for a raise now.
Did you do it?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, it intrigued me because my philosophy has always been I wanted to roll with the guys who've already done it. Then I go down there and find out that Dan says he's been there and he's done that. And that's the kind
Not only said it, I've done it.
Yeah. And he also did it, and the piece actually referred to it. I've been in the travel business for well over 15 years, in the airline, the travel wholesale, and just recently the hotel business. And I've basically made a lot of companies money, and but I've been dictated all my life. And I'm going through a transition right now, and went to the conference this past month or so to take a look at other opportunities, and I think I've kind of narrowed it down to about 2 or 3. But what was more important to me when I went to Dan's workshop down there was the principles and attitudes that I have already shifted since then. I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I like that term, he who writes the first draft wins. Yesterday I went to a negotiating meeting, and I got up at 7:30, blitzed this proposal yesterday. I set it up with my partner. I think I used all the principles. I took my vice president with me to this meeting. I purposely sat him down in a certain position. I sat across the direct person, and then we figured out afterwards that after the negotiating, we had saved ourselves $10,000 just by writing the document. It was also important for me to have my vice president with me there, but I think I utilized a lot of the principles that Dan talks about. I think what I really want to get out of this this weekend is to really get, I think we all have fears, and I think Dan has this kind of attitude where you either get it or you don't, or hit the high road. So
that's pretty close.
Yeah,
pretty close.
So I think that's what I really want to get out of it, and I think I have a goal of getting a $67 million in the next 5 years net worth. And so I'm looking at businesses right now, and I hope to meet and talk to some of you here as well and also get some good information before I leave.
Let me comment a couple things on this, what he said. I can guarantee, there's not many guarantees in life, and I don't give many guarantees at the seminar, but I can guarantee you this. If you're willing to bust your ass and work like a dog and exclude everything, family, God, country, everything, if you don't make that money, it's because you got run over. Or, there's just this, the trick or the formula or the methodology or the precepts are so damn easy. When the Verdiers get up, I'm not saying it's because that they, they're simple people. That's not because I actually went to college with them, kind of. But it's simple. For the people that, Burl's getting ready to get up here, and she's one of my superstars. But I mean, and I'm not taking anything away from Burl. Well, not too much anyway. She's not that smart, but I mean. Yeah, but I mean, it's not that hard. It just isn't. If it was that hard as some of the guys that I went to college with, Pena couldn't have figured it out. I mean, it just isn't. But what it takes is it takes a complete change in the way you think. That's what's hard. The actual doing it, like this young lady, figured it out in about two minutes. It's mind-boggling how she figured that out so quickly. But that's what's difficult. It's getting over all the bullshit that we've been inundated with all our lives by everybody that we have to do with, the guys we play golf with, play bridge with, go to the gym with, eat lunch with, went to school with, etc., etc., etc. That's what's difficult. And the hardest thing for some of you in this room is to stop hanging around with the doofuses you hang around with, because that's become habit. The morons you hang around with. The know-nothing morons. They're debilitating. The second for some of you, the hardest thing, will even be harder than, is to limit your association to your doofus parents and your doofus family. That's tough. Impossible for some people.
My name is Brill Crump. I'm from Ottawa, Canada. I met Dan about 18 months ago at somebody else's seminar. Dan, cover your ears. In San Diego, he talked about seminar junkies. 4 years ago, I sold my real estate company. They gave me a good whack of cash, and then they paid me royalties every month for 3 years. So I was wandering around aimlessly, didn't know what to do, except for spend $73,000 on seminars.
Jesus Christ. I didn't know this.
I know.
I didn't know this.
Cover your ears. Okay. I don't go to seminars anymore unless Dan is there or they're Dan seminars. So I was kind of aimlessly, I knew what I wanted, but I didn't find it in anybody else. And I've seen them all. There isn't anybody. I have their tapes, their books, their videos, their autographs. Just got everything. And the first time I seen Dan, I couldn't relate. He was larger than life. He was where I wanted to be, but I didn't know. I was just, just somebody that run a small business and that wanted to be very wealthy. When I met him, I'd done okay. Probably my net worth was between $5 and $6 million. Nothing that I consider very wealthy, but some people would. Today, in less than 18 months, my net worth, personal net worth now, not my businesses, are somewhere between 20 and 30 million. And I know Dan's discounting that, but I've already discounted it, so you don't have to do that.
Yeah, you're right. I was just trying to put
I've already done it.
Put the doofus factor on it. You're right.
Anyways, I was doing $2 million deals, $4 million deals, making $20,000 on a deal, $80,000 I think was the biggest I'd ever make. Now I'm doing $46.5 million and making close to $20 million on my deals. So that's a quantum leap. We went to the castle in May, and I watched him, and he was telling about doing all these deals. I thought, I got to do a deal. I got to find some idiot out there that I can bring to him that we'll do a deal. Lo and behold, I got 3 of the ugliest frogs that you ever met. I'm kissing them big time, but they're bad. And so I brought them down, and we went over to Dan's house, and he sits in his living room, and he does everything he says in the seminar. I was waiting for some big revelation. I was really disappointed because he does exactly what you see. And we're still working on that deal. I don't know if it's going to happen or if it's not. I don't know. But since then, I've got 2 or 3 other things on the go, and by this time next year, it's going to be scary, but what I will be worth, and that's all I can say.
I've been to see Burl's operation in Canada, and I gave her some insight. She was a control freak, as were the Verdiers that are going to talk in a little while. Hopefully they'll bless us with some of their words of wisdom. And I went up to look at her operation, and I basically told her to stay out of this operation, hire a CFO, do this. It didn't take me long. We were there, you know. And but unlike most people, she actually did it. I mean, you know, big revelation. I mean, I can walk into anybody's business here, and one of the people hopefully we're going to talk to, maybe on the phone, a guy I spent 20 minutes with, 20, that I turned his whole company around, because I could probably, if it takes me more than half a day, something's wrong with me, or, you know, I got a hangover, or something's wrong. Because there's just not that many things that can go wrong with a business. It's either external or internal. That's where you start. We'll talk about more tomorrow. There's only two ways a deal can go down the toilet. And those are them, external or internal. And then when I find that it's external, I devote all my energies looking at external things. If I think it's internal, then I go internal. But with her business, it was obvious to me, she was running a construction company and she was doing several other things, that she could look at land and she knew a piece of land was hot or it wasn't hot. I mean, that's simple. And she didn't need any Lotus 1, 2, 3 to do it. And in fact, her 67 or whatever million deal she just did was on one piece of paper, her proposal to these doofuses that you're taking the money from. Okay, one piece, right?
Yeah.
One side of the paper.
Yeah.
And they got all nervous. They came up to see her in Canada because this lady must be trying to trick us. She said, cost this, my profit. And that was it. And so after they came up there and they audited her and looked her over, they essentially agreed with your numbers.
Yep.
Yep. And so, I mean, just imagine if a regular company had done that. There would have been 900 pages of crap. I mean, when I come in and look at a company, normally what I do is before I have breakfast with the people, breakfast with the chairman. Then I spend the morning not with the people that kiss the chairman's ass, but the level of people below the people that kiss the chairman's ass. Okay. Then I have lunch with the people that kiss the chairman's ass. Then I spend all afternoon into the evening with marketing and sales people. I go out and I get drunk with them. I used to have sales meetings when I ran a real estate sales organization. We used to have margarita hour. We drink pitchers of margaritas. I found out more about the company, and I find out more about everybody else's company. The next morning I go in to the chairman, and I do this. This company X, Y. How do I get this piece of shit? X, Y, Z. And we list number 1, 2, 3, and we go down to 10. The 10 doofus things this company's doing. Then I go like this. We draw. This is not this is not a new deal. They did it with U.S. Steel. Schwartz did it to Carnegie, right, Bruce? And I want you to focus the next 30 days on number 1. I'll be back in 30 days. No written report. No nothing. I come back in 30 days. If he has worked on anything other than number 1, our relationship is over. Period. If he's worked on one and he's probably solved it, then I do the same thing again. Breakfast, lunch, the same gizmos, because the deals always change. Business is not static, ladies and gentlemen. This is what I found 30 days later. It's probably got new problems. So then I go through again, then we do the same thing, 30 days, and I keep doing this month after month. And I'm not here, I'm getting ahead of myself, but when I do this, I get paid $3,000 an hour or $25,000 a day, whichever's more, not whichever's less. Or I take minimum of 15% of the company based on how we turn it around and how we make it better, with an option to buy 10% of the company when we go public at whatever the book value is, not giving it away. And that's what I do. But this is all. And with Burl, it was simple, because Burl had good common sense. She did something very well. I said, forget all this other crap. Very much like I told Bruce Whipple, focus in on the IBM guys that all look like you. It's an easier sale. And it's that simple. Yet Arthur Anderson Consulting will come in and spend 6 months, $745,000, and 900 pages of bullshit. Business isn't that difficult, ladies and gentlemen. It just isn't. It just isn't. I mean, my track record is pretty darn good. I mean, except for a couple of people that have died in the middle of their programs and their companies were liquidated, I've got pretty close to 100% track record. But the caveat is, if you don't do what I say, and I'm not telling you leverage your company, borrow $1 billion, etc. If you don't do what I say, our business relationship is over. Because if I can't control, then I don't, not control on the day-to-day function, but if I can't control the information and what you're going to do, and if you're not going to follow up on it, then I don't want to have anything to do with it, because I realize then I'm not there for the, then I don't want to actually get paid the $3,000 an hour. I want the equity in the deal. Burl has been a big success. She's just beginning to get her stride. She went to she's been using the Royal Bank of Canada for 25 years, right? She told me, I can't hardly say this without choking, that the Royal Bank of Canada had never turned her down in all those years, right? I said, you're obviously not asking for enough money. I mean, banks turn me down all the time. Because I always ask for at least 3 to 5 times more money I think I need. Because when I borrow money, I take a company public, I've always pay myself. We're going to talk about it tomorrow next. I take a big chunk and I pay myself a bonus, and I pay everybody involved in the deal a bonus. I used to pay $3 to $10 million on a deal in bonuses. This is out of the equity that I get from the bank, the money that I borrowed. And she's never been turned down. I said, you've got to change your attitude with the banks. And she has. She did a huge no money down deal, which she showed me. That's that property by your place. And she's flipped the switch on the bank, because the bank doesn't want to lose her business. And banking's tough in Canada because of all the doofus rules they've got. But, I mean, and she's just taken the ball and run. And she's been over the goal several times now since our relationship has started. And so it's not, and I'm not demeaning or saying any of the people that have been successful aren't that bright, but we're not that, maybe Whipple is, because he looks brighter than he is. But certainly when the Verdiers get to talk here in a little bit, they don't even look bright. They look young. They're almost as old as me. Look at how young they look. Okay, next. Young lady with a tough handshake.
Hello, my name is Naima, and I have my own cosmetic company, and I distribute my products to Southern California Broadway. Is anyone familiar with that chain of stores? I'd like to tell you a little bit how I started. I came here with a dream, and my life has been very, I won't say planned, but I always knew my destiny. I grew up in a lower middle income family. My father is a minister, and I had a mother as a housewife. I didn't see too much benefit in that, so I said, no, I'm not going that way. And I decided early on in my life that I wanted to be immensely wealthy. I don't know where that came from. No one in my family had acquired a lot of money, but I know that I did not want to have $1 or $2 million. That didn't even seem rich to me. So I just kind of feel that it's my destiny to be very wealthy, provide a lot of opportunity for women. I came out here about 17, 18 years ago with a dream. The dream was to get a job in a field that I loved and I was passionate about. I mean, work my behind off, not to get another opportunity because I was cute or I said hi nice, but because I knew my business. I started as a salesperson, making about $3.25 an hour. After that, I caught a couple of management's eyes. They felt that I could be an assistant manager. I went into assistant manager for the Broadway. About maybe 3 years after that, they felt that I could be a manager because I was doing the work anyway. I was a little fearful about going into management because I knew then I would have to take all of the heat no matter if things weren't done right. I had 3 children at the time, and really do I want to put that much energy in someone else's business when my purpose was to come out here and to have my own business. But I felt I needed more training, more insight into the business I chose. I worked at that, I accepted that and went on, and I did very well at that, and I think it was because I always loved to motivate people to do what you do well. And if you do it well and if you're passionate about it, you don't have to worry too much about the competition. After that, J.C. Penney's heard about me. They hired me as a cosmetic merchandise manager. So now I'm buying cosmetics. I'm developing a staff. I'm motivating them, and I'm trying to get the women to do the best job they could. Not so much for myself, but I believe that if you get people to enjoy what they're doing and do it well, they will always go the extra mile because they're feeling good about it, and you're letting them do what they do best. So I stayed there for about a year. A man by the name of Mr. Johnson, who owns Johnson Publishing Company, called me from Chicago. My name came up a couple of times in this area. He needed an account executive for cosmetics to be a account executive. Oh, and so many people told me, oh, Naima, you can't do that. You can't be an account executive. You can't be a manager. You have 3 children. You're married. And you're black. You can't do all of these things. But every time someone told me I couldn't do it, I knew that I could, not only because I knew that I could, but I had read something about Henry Ford, where Henry Ford didn't even pass the 4th grade, but he hired the Harvard and the Yale guys. But he had the
Dime a
vision.
dozen.
He had the vision. So I knew that if I just could cultivate my vision and bring it to fruition in my mind and visualize it, I could get the staff that could help me achieve my goal. After working for Mr. Johnson and falling deeply in love with him, he is a black man. He is one of the wealthiest black people in the country.
Good place to start. It's a lot easier to fall in love with money. I mean, just as easy, I should say. For me, it's a lot easier, but...
I fell in love with his mind. I fell in love with he could discipline himself to step through the crap and get what he wanted. And I would be sitting in a sales conference, and I said, how can I get from here to there? That was the only question that just kept coming up. Well, because I fell so in love and in awe with this man, it was nothing, outside, in no bedroom or anything, but I just loved his fortitude and all of what he had done in the time that he had came from, because he came up in the 40s and the 50s where, they told you couldn't do anything if you were black. So I worked for him for 7 years. My plan was to work for him only 2 years and then go for my business. But because I got caught up in his vision, and I was doing basically what I love to do, and that is to go into stores, hire women, motivate them, try to get them past their families, not spending all the money on their children and their husbands and all of their energy and effort, but save some time for themselves and to develop the gift that God had given them. After I did that for 7 years, I could not rest, I could not sleep. Something inside said, you have to do it. You've got to go for it. Why I was so excited about getting an opportunity with Mr. Johnson, because it was like destiny had given me a man that had the roadmap. And I was so excited. I mean, the plane, I think, brought me in there about 35,000 feet. But, I was about 100 feet above sea level. And when I got to meet him, I was just so in awe of him. And when they told me he liked me, I said, oh, my God, that's great. Well, I worked for him for 7 wonderful years. And I know that I have been called to do what I'm doing because I could not sleep. I was up at night watching Tony Robbins and, oh my God, what am I going to do? How can I enter a cosmetic field in the department stores where you have to have millions of dollars to even approach them, to even be attracted to them? So what I did, I worked on my dream. I worked on what I felt that I could offer women in a product. I came up with the idea. I called a lady who was she called on the Broadway stores. She was like she represented other cosmetic companies. So I asked her, would she go in there for me and talk to them? And then the night before the meeting took place, I was laying in the bed and I said, no one can tell it like you can. You are going to be the CEO of the company, the president. Nobody can speak it like you. So what I did, I called the lady and I said, I'm going with you. I knew once I did that, I was out of a job because the cosmetic field is very, very small. I went in and I talked to the buyer. I had only a picture. I didn't even have enough money to get a mock-up. Nothing. I just had my passion, my commitment, and a picture. And I told them that this is what I want to do. This was the market that I was after. And they said, okay, Naima, we want you. I was so happy. I said, my dream is coming true. I'm visualizing things. Oh, it's going to be such a success when it goes in. And I could see the people buying my product. And it didn't happen. The product went in. I found a manufacturer that manufactured my goods on a handshake. No money. No money. Just a handshake. Offshore. He delivered my goods on time within the 30 days PO that the Broadway gave me. And the merchandise set. It sold pretty good, but not as well as we had anticipated. So for the last year and a half, it has been a struggle to keep my vision alive and not look at my circumstances, but always keep my eye on the vision. So I'm just so happy to be here with a gentleman that has a roadmap to several millions, hundreds of millions, that I could take back to my company and instill some of the philosophies that he has to make my company a multi-million-dollar company. I see myself going worldwide. I'm not going to be a child of just America. I want to be a child of the universe. So I want to offer my products. I have an opportunity to do business in South Africa. I feel that that is